Zoom was completely down last night. Couldn't do anything. Just thankful it's working tonight. And we are redirecting now to YouTube. Good evening. I can hear you. Hey, Jacques, how you doing, buddy? I see you got the link. And looks like we are live on YouTube, and we're going to get started here. I want to welcome everyone to our Wednesday night training. It is absolutely a pleasure to have you here. We're not going to be long tonight, probably 30 minutes, unless you have a lot of questions. We're going to talk about SSL. Some of you may know that we have it. Some of you may not. We introduced it quite a while back, but it's very important that you use it. SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer. It allows you to have the S on the end of your website. On the beginning of your URL at the HTTP. Google came out about, probably a year ago now, and said everybody will have an SSL certificate, or we're going to punish you for it, and they do greatly. And if you have a site that takes any type of information, Google will send up a warning to people and say, hey, this isn't a secure site. Do not put information in this site. And you don't want that to happen. So we're going to talk about that tonight, why it's important, why you need to have all your apps, turn all your apps on for SSL so that they work properly in the browsers. And we're going to talk about some of you guys that have these iframes and all this crap in your apps that probably really shouldn't be there, but you put it there anyway. That is not SSL. So we're going to talk about all that, and we're going to talk about some opportunities that you're missing if you're out talking to your clients and they don't have SSL. If you pull up their website and they don't have SSL, you'll know it. As many of you know, and well, everybody knows, I've been in the beacon business now for about 18 months. And so if someone wants me to put their website in a beacon, it's got to be SSL. It's got to be HTTPS. So it's a great opportunity when we see that it's not, because what that allows us to do is upsell them either a new website or upsell them the ability to put SSL, get a certificate, and have it put on their website. A lot of people own their own domain names. They don't know how to access them, so you charge them for that service, charge them for talking to their provider, and go in there and upsell that. It's a great way to make money, especially now, because Google says you will have SSL and or we will punish you. And so if you have websites, if you have your own websites and they're not SSL, they need to be, especially if you take money via those websites. You can't take money anymore via a website unless it's got an SSL certificate attached to it. So it's very important that you do that. So let's get started. Welcome everybody to our Wednesday night training provided by Appwizard Studio. Let me make sure that this is just changing here. I've got it on my phone so I can see it happening, and it is. Real quick, if you have not joined Appwizard Studio Facebook group, I recommend that you do that. For example, I probably had 20 people today say, hey, can you send me the link for tonight's training? And I posted it this morning in the group. So that's another reason you need to be a part of the group, so you can go in and stay up to date on everything that's happening in Appwizard Studio. And so just join the group at facebook.com/groups/AWS Mastermind. Let me remind everybody, if you're not using the same email and or name that you signed up with when you joined Appwizard Studio, and I look at the request and then I go in and bounce it off of the records for Appwizard Studio, because we do try to keep our group clean, to keep out spammers and all that kind of stuff. So I will go and check. And if you are a member, but you're submitting under another name, you just need to put in a ticket to support and or to Nancy at Nancy@appwizardstudio.com. And she will forward it to me, and then I will put you in the group. We don't allow people to come in the group that's not a part of Appwizard Studio. And trust me, we get, I don't know, several hundred a week that are trying to get into the Appwizard Studio group, and we block them and we don't allow them. So if you would, if you're trying to get in, and I know we've had a large number, we've had a lot of people that have joined Appwizard Studio in the last 30 days, and you're trying to get in. If you can't get in, then jump in and let us know, and we'll be more than happy to add you to the group. It's not that we don't want you. We just want to keep out the spammers, and I hope you can appreciate that. If you have not joined or subscribed to Appwizard Studio YouTube channel, join to the Appwizard Studio YouTube channel. You can find this when you see this icon. You'll know you're at the right place. Just search for Appwizard Studio and subscribe and follow us on the YouTube channel. The reason you want to do that, the biggest reason is when new trainings come out, or we do our Wednesday night trainings, a lot of people watch us on YouTube. So our YouTube is broadcast at the same time as our live Zoom training. So, for example, let me use this example. Zoom has been doing some updates for the past couple of weeks. Some people have been able to get in, some people have not. If those people would have just said, hey, you know what? Carrie's live on YouTube also. Let me just go and watch the training over there. You could have watched the training on YouTube. So you always have a place to watch the training. It's just the fact that you need to go to YouTube and do it versus sign into Zoom. Real quick disclaimer, Appwizard Studio nor I cannot guarantee just because you are watching training, you will make any sales, create any traffic, or increase your income. Every person is different, has different work ethics and different desires. Some people make it happen and some people watch it happen. How many of you have a website? And I'm not talking about your Appwizard Studio website. How many of you have a website that you've built in the last year? Anybody online that has a website that has built a website in the last year and or built a website for somebody in the last year and or sales websites? Anybody on the call at all? 2 or 3 of you? Absolutely. It's good money. Need to do it. Add it to your repertoire of products that you sell. When you have build a website, or when you build a web app, you need to make sure the SSL is turned on. Why is that? Why does it matter? Because Google says it matters. There's one thing, if you haven't learned anything in the last 6 years, listen to me, and I say this all the time. If Google says it, take it to the bank. Because Google is the one that controls everything on the web. I know you have Yahoo and Bing and all those things, but Google is the big daddy, okay? Google says this is going to happen and this is going to happen. Now, the thing with Google is they may say it's going to happen and it only happens for a year or two, and they'll switch it back. But they change their algorithms. They change things all the time. And you want to make sure that you have an SSL certificate. Well, when Google announced that, every other search engine followed. Okay? When Google came out and said, listen, we've got too much stuff going on, too many people hacking, too many people getting in these sites, all this stuff happening, you know, you have to have an SSL. Especially, they started off where you just had to have an SSL if you were collecting data, okay? And I don't know if anybody saw, but Google just had to pay a fine. I think it was for France, for GDPR, because the information that they were receiving wasn't GDPR compliant. Now, granted, Google did like $700 billion last year, and they were only fined $53 million, which is just, I mean, pennies on that. That's a rounding error for Google, okay? But still, even Google has times when, you know, they try to do everything right and they get caught and something wasn't correct. There was a hole or there was a worm or something got in and they were able to get the data, okay? We see it with Facebook every other week where people hack into Facebook and it all has to do with the APIs and the stuff that's used in the back end. They're able to create these tools and get in and steal data, okay? SSL, or secure socket layer, is the standard security technology used to create an encrypted connection between a web server and the browser, okay? And the browser. The encrypted connection ensures that all data that is sent between your browser and the web server stays private and isn't tampered with by anyone. That doesn't mean they can't hack a server, okay? When hackers hack, they're not hacking the browser. They're hacking the server. They're getting into the server, Okay. When installed on a web server, an SSL certificate activates the padlock and the HTTPS protocol and allows secure connections from a web server to a web browser. How many of you have seen the little padlock on the left-hand corner of either your browsers on your phone and or the browsers on your desktop and or laptop? It'll turn green. It's a little padlock. People have learned to look for that. I'll give you a prime example. I launched a website about 2 months ago, and the SSL certificate was put on, but it was put on incorrectly. And it somewhere in between launching the website and the website being seen by a bunch of people who were trying to buy stuff from me, I started getting emails saying, hey, we're not going to buy from you because your website says not to, because there's no SSL certificate. So if you think for a second that people do not pay attention to that, think again. They pay very close attention to that because Google puts all kind of alerts up on the web page and up in the URL box where you type in the URL that tells people do not use this site. So of course I immediately went into the site. I immediately called my provider and say, I've got an SSL certificate on here. Something's wrong. Please reinstall it. So they yanked it off, they reinstalled it, and it's worked ever since. So something happened when the provider installed the SSL. If you're building websites and use HostGator, and if you use WordPress, they give you a free SSL certificate for every single site. You don't have to pay for it. But if you buy an SSL certificate, it's anywhere from about $30 up to 100 plus, depending on how much security that you have. If you're using a shopping cart or something like that, they provide their own SSL certificate, and they're very, very, very high security. Okay, they're like up there in that $100,000 range, security kind of stuff. Okay, so your shopping carts and those kind of things provide SSL for you. You may provide the domain, but they'll provide the SSL for you. Appwizard Studio provides the SSL for your mobile web apps, and I'm going to show you here that in just a minute. Secure websites can protect the user's connection by securing information in 3 layers. And authentication protects against attacks and builds user trust. And that kind of goes back to what I was talking about a while ago. You want people to use your site. You want people to go into your site. I built a web app for a guy yesterday in California. About 60% of his web pages didn't have SSL. He had many different layers of web pages. And I told him, I said, hey, I said, you're kind of big time. And I said, you need to have your stuff fixed. And here's the problem. Most people are afraid to tell a customer that their stuff is messed up. Don't be afraid, because you're protecting them. You're taking care of your customer by going in and saying, hey, listen, your site is not secured. Everything I'm reading to you right now was pulled off of Google. This is all Google data right here. Everything I'm showing you. So you can get the same information off of Google, and you can show them, listen, Google says, Yahoo says, Bing says, all the browsers say that you have to have an SSL certificate if you want people to trust your site and use your site, especially if you're collecting money. Now, this is what happens collecting money. Most people tie into their merchant account, okay? Their merchant account is secure. So they tie it to an unsecure site. When Google sees that that site is attached to a merchant account or anything to collect data, they make you check a box. The page comes up white, okay? And it says, hey, this site is bad. Do not use this site. Click out of it, okay? And if your customers, especially if they have e-commerce and those kind of things, but they're going from HTTP to collecting some type of data and using a shopping cart of some kind, and it's all tied together, you're going to get that alert. And you want to protect yourself from that. You want your clients to trust you. You want your clients to come back to you. And you never want your clients to abandon your page just because you didn't think about, or you thought, well, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters greatly whether or not you do this or not. The encryption within HTTPS, and this is what your URL should look like, HTTPS:// Carrie Miller or whatever, is intended to provide benefits like confidentiality, integrity, and identity. Okay. It shows, number one, that your site has integrity. It shows that your company has integrity. I've been teaching branding online for the last several weeks. And I do Facebook Lives teaching branding. Okay. And the one thing we talk about is integrity. Integrity of your name, integrity of your site, integrity of your business. Why? Because it all comes back to you. It has to protect every page. When you put a SSL on a domain, it protects every page. Okay? It protects every page. You can't just have half SSL. The entire site has to be SSL, and your checkout page has to be SSL. Everything has to be SSL. And or you're going to get the alerts. Google is going to put an alert out there that says this site is not secure. Don't use it. It's no good. Okay. And it also hurts your SEO. Your information remains confidential from prying eyes because only your browser and the server can decrypt the traffic. Integrity protects the data from being modified without your knowledge. Okay. Google has encouraged all sites to secure visitor information with SSL certificates. Check with your provider. If you have a website and you need an SSL, see if they provide. Most providers, what they do is they provide a shared SSL certificate, which is what HostGator does for the WordPress sites. They use a shared SSL certificate. So everybody's using the same certificate. Okay. HostGator keeps it updated. They do everything to it. You don't have to worry about it. It's always good and it's always there. But check with your provider. Go call your provider or email them or however you talk to your web host provider and say, hey, how do I put an SSL certificate on my domain? And secondly, do you provide a free SSL or do you provide a shared free SSL? Always ask that question, because if you got, I think right now I have about 30 different websites. If you have that many websites and you got to go out and spend $40 or $50 on every website a year, okay? So 4 times 3 is 12, okay? So $1,200 a year just for SSL certificates. That gets extremely expensive. So if they give it to you for free, get it for free if you can. Google will reward sites with SSL certificates with a boost in search ranking. I can tell you, if you're not HTTPS, you're not going to get on Google. I mean, you'll be buried so deep that you'll never find yourself. Firstly, HTTPS has been a confirmed Google ranking factor since 2014. Okay. So getting a small rankings boost is a good reason, number one, for switching to HTTPS. Secondly, if your website is not using HTTPS/an SSL certificate, your website credibility and search engine rankings may be affected. I can tell you, with the announcement that Google made about a year ago, it might have been a little bit longer than that, with that announcement that they made, it greatly hinders your search engine rankings, okay? This is one of the notifications you get. Okay, this is up in the right-hand corner, and you'll click on it, and it says your connection to this site is not secure. You should not enter any sensitive information on this site. For example, passwords or credit cards, because it could be stolen by attackers. Now, if you've got a site that's selling something, you definitely don't want this kind of information popping up on your website. You do not want that to happen. Okay. You don't want that to happen. And because if you're collecting data, it's got to be secure or this will happen. Now, if you have a secure website, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. If your website is secure, you do not have to worry about it. But this is the kind of information that Google is putting out to your customers saying, hey, this person is not trustworthy. His site's not trustworthy. Go shop somewhere else. Now, let me show you here real quick. To turn on your SSL certificates, and I'm actually gonna go into the browser in just a minute because I want to talk to you about a couple of things. To turn on your SSL certificates, go into your back office, click on Manage, and right here it says SSL Redirect. Click on SSL Redirect, and you will need to turn on. These are all turned off, okay? So you can turn on. And what I do is I turn them all on. And then as I build a new app, I go in and turn it on. All right. So all you have to do is go in and turn it on. Just say yes and go to the bottom of the page. And I'm going to go into the live site in just a second and turn it on. That turns on the SSL redirect on your web apps. Okay. So even if they type in http onetap.mobi/Appwizard, it's going to redirect them to an HTTPS protocol. All right. So even if they have, if they've been putting their website out as HTTP ://onetap.mobi/whatever, okay, it's going to redirect them to the proper protocol, and they will not have the security issues with Appwizard Studio platform. All right. But you have to go in and turn that on. You have to go in and turn that on. Now, I can tell you, we're talking about changing that where they're all turned on because they need to be turned on, and we're going to have to do it for our own security of our own platform. But I'm going to talk about why we've got it reversed right now, and we're going to give everybody a chance to go in and fix their stuff that use third-party crap that's usually corruptible anyway, and they put it in the platform, and it's not HTTPS, it's HTTP. And or you are wireframing your framing in using iframes to put in websites in some of these pages, which I don't understand why you do that either. But okay. All right, let me go over here. I'm going to try to bring up the site here on the little thing. Any questions? And Bob, that was a great question a while ago. Thank you for asking a question. I'm going to change over. Yeah, I saw it change over. Okay. Can everybody see that scrolling there? Let's make sure. There we go. Okay, got it all switched over. Now, let me go up here real quick. Let me go back to the control panel. And just show you here. Go into web apps, manage, go into SSL redirect. Okay. You can see these are all turned off here. Okay. You see these are all turned off. Some of them are turned on, some of them are turned off. This is what I recommend you do. Come over here and go yes to everything. And hit save. Now, every single app is turned on. All right. Now, watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to create a quick web app. All right. Obviously, this isn't a real web app. I mean, it's a real web app, but it's not for a customer. Okay, now I'm going to come up here to manage SSL redirect. See right there? That's the new web app I just built. It says no. So now just come in and change that and put yes. Hit save. And now they are all turned on. Now, when you go to, some of you use this, some of you don't, but the desktop preview, if you go to the desktop preview, you're going to see that that's going to rotate over. Did everybody see that change to HTTPS with the lock on it right there? Can everybody see that? Everybody see that right here? Let me get a little pointer. Let me see here. Right here. Okay. So now when they go to it, you can see it goes to HTTPS. Now watch what I'm fixing to do. Let me go back up here and get my mouse. I'm just a little boy. See, that comes up now as unsecure. All right, unsecure. So people click on that and says, oh, look at there. This site's not secure. So turn that on. Make sure those are turned on. Now I'm going to show you something. A lot of people over the years, which is probably my biggest pet peeve, they go in and they put code in. They'll rip it out of websites. They'll do all kind of stuff, and they'll manipulate code and go in and put it into they'll either come down here to third-party code and drop it in here, and it'll have HTTP in it, and it'll have all kind of stuff. And this is what happened. This is why this is reversed. When they got the non-secure code in there and we put the HTTPS on it, it was breaking a lot of web apps. Okay. So Mark's called and said, hey, he said, I think we need to do this the opposite way, because a lot of these guys have web apps that they've tried to manipulate and do all kind of crap with. And it's breaking their web apps. But this is where we are at with Appwizard. And we've been talking about this all week. That puts the platform vulnerable, okay? Because we have thousands and thousands and thousands of apps out on the street that are going through the platform without the HTTPS. So this is your fair warning. If you've got a bunch of code, or if you come in here to content, and you come in here to these HTML pages, and you come in here and you write a bunch of code, or you drop a bunch of HTML in here, and it's got website data, and it's got non-secure sockets and information in this source code that's not secure, you need to go through all of those apps that you've done this to, and you need to check all that stuff. Because when we flip the switch the other way, if it didn't work before, it's not going to work again. Okay? But we're protecting the integrity of everyone, not just one or two people that want to go in and do all that, whatever they do. Okay? So that is going to come. We're going to give it a couple of months, let the word get out, but we are fixing to switch over. Instead of everybody having to go up here and turn them on, they will automatically be turned on. And honestly, I don't know why anyone would want to turn them off. I can't imagine why anyone wants to run a non-HTTP site, because you're going to throw up red flags about your business and your customer's business. Okay? About your business and your customer business. All right. Any questions how to turn it on? Any questions how to turn it off? No, I don't know whose sites have junk in them, and I don't know. I don't know. There's no way for me to know. I don't build them. If you build them and you do all that stuff, then you need to go check it. What happens if it breaks? You need to figure it out. We don't support third-party code. You know, I mean, you shouldn't have sold it to begin with. That's why we tell people don't go out and sell third-party crap. You know, most of it don't work to begin with, but some people just feel like they've got to do it. You know, third-party code. You can put CSS in here. You can put tracking codes in here. If you do a lot of, if your customer, what do, what do we look? What do you mean? What do you look? What do you look for? Don't have a clue. I don't know what you guys put in there. I don't know. I don't know what you guys do when you build apps. I know some people break apps all the time because I know everybody can see a source on the HTML of a website. You can't just go in and pull source from HTML on a website and stick it in this app and expect everything to work. It just doesn't work that way. Everything in the code triggers something else in the code. And if it's looking for CSS or PHP or things that are actually in the program, okay, then you don't got to worry about it. If you don't throw third-party stuff in your app, then you don't got to worry about it. You would know if you do or not, okay? But third-party, you can drop CSS in here. For example, I take the background off of the front of the app if I put a border around something on the content page, and I don't want it on the front page, I will drop a CSS right here. It says, you know, remove the background. And then if I put a border around it, I'll put another line of code, CSS, under that says, okay, don't put a box around around anything on the front page. And I do that all the time, okay? Because sometimes maybe I'll put an image on the front page up at the header or something like that. And if you turn on the box, if you turn on this, under styles and colors, for example, all right. So if I come up here to advanced and I go into content body, okay, and I want to put a border around something. So everybody, let me change the color of that border where it's bright so you can see it. Okay, if I want that border only on the content page and I don't want it on the front of the page, I can put code in there to where it's only on every page except the front page. Okay. And I've put that code out several times. And I can remove the border in the background. So if I had a background on that page and I only wanted it on the content page, okay, the information page or whatever, you know, I could leave it there, but I could take it off the front page. And that goes right here under third-party code. If you do pixels and that kind of stuff for Facebook, and if your customer uses Facebook and he sells through Facebook, then you should put their pixel in their app, because everybody that does what? Everybody that opens their app gets pixeled. And then when they go in to do their ads, they'll get those people's ads because they can use that pixel, everybody that's opened up that app, to market to on Facebook. Okay. Any questions on that? Yeah, hang on just one second. Let me find it. That's the code to remove the background, and I'll show you how to do that here. Did everybody get the code? Okay, this is just the background. Let me show you here. Remember the background was black? Now there's no background color, okay? But let's say I want to take away that border too. Just come down here and add border. All right. Copy this string of code right here. All right. And we'll go up here. You can see it's all gone. Okay. Very easy to do. If I had some content on the content page, you'd be able to see that. Hang on just a second. I'll do that real quick. Okay, you don't see it here. You see the border here. And if I had the transparency turned up, you can see the transparency on there. And you can take the border off or whatever, but I don't like it on the front page. If I put an image or something up there, I like taking it off, whatever's there. Okay, absolutely. We haven't been in this panel for a long time. Maybe next week we'll do a training where we're all in the panel and we go to the panel and just ask you guys questions. We got a lot of new people. Any other questions? Yeah, just copy the from style all the way down to style and just drop it in that CSS box. I'm sorry, custom third-party code. Third-party code. Right here, manage SSL redirect. That takes you into all of your apps. These are all of your apps. If you want to turn them all on at the same time, just turn them all on at the same time. Scroll down and say save. You're good to go. Yes, I recommend you turn it on all of them, because if you're not, your customers are getting errors. Their clients are getting errors when they go to their web app. Correct. I think it's the most important thing you can do before you go to bed, personally. I think it's something that you should do before you go to bed. Because your clients, customers are seeing it every day if it's not turned on. They see it's not secure. And many of you have data collection places, join our list or whatever on that app. And you're collecting data through a non-secure site, which puts the business owner in jeopardy, which puts you in jeopardy. I use several different cart programs. So go-to is ThriveCart. You can use MoonClerk. I use MoonClerk every now and then. MoonClerk's like 10 or 15 bucks a month. I don't know what it was. I bought ThriveCart way back in the day when they launched. I was on the pre-launch. I got it for $149 and it's like $700 now. So, you pay for what you get. Yeah, it takes seconds to change. Absolutely, Jacques. Seconds to change, and I highly recommend you doing that. Any other questions? First and foremost, thank everybody for coming out to get to another Wednesday night training. You guys are my family, and I really enjoy. I always look forward to coming out and talking to you and sharing with you and showing you some things. Do I travel? Could you elaborate? Yes, I travel all the time. Could you elaborate on that? Do I travel to do? Yeah, I'm confused what you're asking here. Oh, do I do events for resellers? Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I put that out last week, and I'll tell you a quick story. I had 3 people call me and said, "Hey, we'd like you to come out and do that for us." And I normally charge. This is what I charge. Okay, if I go out and do it, I've got a lot of reps. Okay, and if they want me to come out and do the same thing to them, I take 50% of the sales, my travel, my hotel, and my food. Okay, needs to all be. Now, my food during the travel doesn't need to be taken care of, but when I'm there, I expect that all to be taken care of. Okay, but for resellers, only take 25% of the sales. So if you sell $1,000, it's going to cost you $250. If you sell $10,000, it's going to cost you $2,500, whatever it is. But this was the reaction. Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, then go out and do it yourself and make your own money. I don't do it for free. I don't travel for free. Being in business costs money, and to bring someone in costs money. You still have a problem coming up with the link when you try to get it out of the app. Yeah, sure. Simply go to the app. There's an About Us link right here. All I have to do is put my mouse over that, right click, copy link address. Okay. And I can go up here to the browser and I can put that link address in. And if you put it in now let me show you something. This does this in a browser. It won't do it in a phone. But if your display is on, it's going to take it to this page right here. Okay. But if you turn your display off, let me back up here. Let me turn this off real quick. This is a live app, so I kind of have to be careful. I'm going to turn that off. That's going to go directly to the page. If you wanted to attach that somewhere in your app or do something with it, whatever you're doing that for, you just right click on it, copy link address, whatever button you're doing, and you can get that. Did that help you there, Bob? Absolutely, buddy. Anyone else? Anyone else? Good question. Bob, you're 2 for 2 tonight, my friend. 2 for 2. Oh yeah. So the answer to your question is yes, I do, but it costs you. Don't do it for free. I've got an old saying: I give to the Salvation Army. I'm not the Salvation Army. I'm not a charity. And we closed about 40% of the room. Our closure rate in North Carolina was about 40%, which was really good. We'll wind up total with about, I think we've got 63 commitments right now. So now there were 52 people in the room. We got 60 plus commitments. So what does that tell you? Word got out pretty quick. It all depends on you. It all depends on the room. These rooms were well prepped. They knew what they were coming for. They were coming for a mobile marketing seminar, and that's what they got. And just give me a call. Give me a call or text me. You can probably expect to put out, depending on how long I'm there, probably about $750 total. I think the North Carolina trip, of course, I stayed in some very, very nice. Everything was extremely nice. I think she probably spent about $2,500, but I was also there for 4 days and did 3 different events. Yes, I can stay as long as you need me there. How many ever events you have? I bring everything with me. All I need is a big screen to plug into, and most of these places already have that. Yep. I bring my HDMI cables, my computer, I bring everything with me. And we'll do video. We do a lot of video. We do a lot of pictures, and we give you all that stuff, and you can use it for all your marketing. Absolutely. Sure. Just give me a call. Just shoot me a message on Messenger. Yep. It's very easy to do. I mean, I know sometimes people are kind of afraid to talk in front of crowds. I understand that. Trust me. I'm afraid to talk in front of crowds. I just do it because it pays well. You know, I have a lot of anxiety before the show even started. One of the guys that was part of inviting me out. We went outside for about 30 minutes just for me to bring myself down so I could go speak. So I have high anxiety. I'm just me. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you. Thank you, Don. Thanks, Jacques. You guys have an absolute wonderful evening. God bless. And I will see you all next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we'll get in the platform. So you guys get your questions together. Great questions tonight, Bob. Great questions tonight, Jacques. And we'll get in the platform next week and play around and learn some new stuff. So everybody have a good evening. Thank you so much. Yeah, no problem. Just give me a call. Absolutely, John.